V dnešním díle podcastu Nelidské zdroje se budeme bavit s Oscarem Magerem z Holandska.
A budeme si povídat o moderních technologiích, zejména o rozpoznávání hlasu, obrazu, o ochraně soukromí a o tom, proč v Holandsku vzniká tolik HR startupů. Vážení posluchači, další díl Nelidských zdrojů, Matěj Matolín, José Kadlec a náš dnešní speciální host. Kdo to je, José?
Je to Oscar Mager, takže proto i tenhle díl bude anglicky. So, let's start in English.
We have to speak English because apparently you don't speak Czech, Oscar.
Oh, no, not very well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I know, Oscar, by the way, our podcast is called In Human Resources, like in translation. Yeah?
Excellent.
So it's really like raw podcast. I know Oscar from Sourcing Summit, yeah, because we met in Amsterdam. Actually, Oscar is from Netherlands, so Oscar is familiar with Sourcing Summit. And actually, we are at Sourcing Summit right now.
We are in Tallinn, Estonia. We are sitting in a great champagne lounge, or how we can call
it
VIP room, and recording this podcast. Yeah. So that's cool.
What do you think, Oscar, after first day of Sourcing Summit? What do you think about lineup?
Yeah, very, very good content as always, and there's a good energy, there's a good vibe, and it's a beautiful venue that we're sitting in. So I think all very well arranged. We got a very warm welcome by the team organizing it. So as always, and this is good to be back.
What's your favorite speaker for the day one, or the topic? Like, I mean, like in general, about like what's...
Yeah, there were quite a few good topics. I think that the closing note that Hung did today was quite interesting as well, because it makes you think. He has a good talk about, basically how talent acquisition is developing the future of our profession as well. So a good one to leave you thinking after the first day. So
yeah, definitely. Funnel is dead. Stop outbound, do inbound, and so on. It was really great. Yeah. Matěj, you have your speech.
Yeah.
Are you satisfied with your performance?
I mean, I like the topic.
Yeah.
Always after a presentation, you realize, yes, I missed something, or I wanted to say this differently.
Always, yes.
I think the good way of doing it is that you have like one topic. That I've prepared this topic by the beginning of this year.
Sure.
And then you are using it at several conferences, which is a good like way to, first of all, not building it from scratch, and secondly, like improving it and fine-tuning it, and
it becomes
so
more
on.
Natural then.
Sorry?
It becomes more natural.
Yeah, definitely. You also, as an experienced speaker, you are speaking a lot of conferences, right?
Yeah, well, I do a bit of speaking. I wouldn't say I'm an experienced speaker, but I do the occasional conference. I've spoken at quite a few sourcing summits, which I like. What I prefer nowadays, and basically I've done that in the past as well, is more like the on-conference format, where you come together with a group of people and where you discuss a topic, and where you're more like the track leader, where you introduce a topic.
And like then no slides, you mean? Like
no slides at all. Not the one on the stage that everybody's listening to, but just introducing a topic and then having a conversation about it with the entire group. I think that it's usually giving you even more, content and knowledge. But I think from a conference point of view, Sourcing Summit is doing a great job. So, yeah.
My favorite speaker or the topic was actually Yves Grain, or is it?
Yeah, Yves. Yeah.
It's Dutch guy as well, right?
Dutch guy,
But I think the name is French. But it was about automation, about connecting more plugins, for example, together to be more efficient. I think that's my favorite topic from the outbound perspective, which I think it's for, especially for me, for example, from the agency point of view, now the thing which the sourcing center are actually solving.
Absolutely.
How to do more, and that will be also my presentation tomorrow about transhuman, about sourcing in transhuman age.
Yes, exactly.
Transhuman. Is it something like transgender?
It's not transgender. Yeah, there was also diversity presentation. Yeah, you like them very much, especially from the perspective of the Czech Republic with the second lowest unemployment rate globally after Singapore.
Oh, really? Okay.
So we hate these topics, like literally, and of course the diversities topic more or less because of the corporations and so on.
Sure. Yeah.
By the way, Oscar is also a photographer doing the pictures.
That's something I do on the side, and actually I also started that at the Sourcing Summit, because the first Sourcing Summit in I think it was 2013 in Amsterdam.
Yes.
I brought my camera because I've seen a lot of conferences where there was no visual content whatsoever afterwards, and these are things you want to share, with the people in your profession. I just brought my camera and started taking pictures, and people liked the pictures, so I brought the camera the year after as well, and I started taking pictures.
I think your pictures are definitely part of my marketing as well. I think if you check josefkarles.com, there are definitely some of them
there, right? Yeah. No, that is something I enjoy. I've always enjoyed taking pictures. It's one of the passions that I have. And I truly believe in something that I call, and I don't call it that only, but it's a very common concept. It's called the slashy concept. I'm not sure if you heard of it. Slashy is literally putting a slash in between the things that you do. And I have different passions. One of my passions is recruitment. The other is cycling, definitely.
Actually, Oscar,
I don't earn money with that, but photography is the other one. Yeah. Definitely.
I like you mentioned the slash concept, because in your LinkedIn profile there is actually 3 months cycling to Scotland.
Okay.
So what do you mean by slash concept?
That's the slashy concept, yeah. The slashy concept is I think originally that you, apart from your day job, you have another job or another gig where you basically put all your creativity in. And for me, that is photography. But really, the other slash for me is, sometimes breaking away from all of that, taking the bicycle, and then go out for 2.5 months, and then discover a country. And that's great. That's the way I like working. I like living, and it fits. I think the person who I am. So, and I've been doing that now for 13 years. That's when I started as a contract recruiter, and before that I've worked as an agency recruiter for about 10 years. So that's what I've been doing. And really the decision to start working independently was I just wanted to be my own boss and make my own decisions about what to do when to work and when not to work. And as an independent recruiter you can easily do that. So and back then it was a good time to start as well. In the Netherlands there was a lot of demand for contract recruiters. Can
you tell us more about the current engagement you have at your current company?
Yes, I currently work with a company called Sonos. They build beautifully designed speakers, audio devices, wireless speakers. And that is Consumer Electronics, which is a really interesting company. So I work for their European headquarters based out of the Netherlands. They're an American company. Not a large company. We have about 1,500 people employed globally. And I look after all of their EMEA hiring and some US roles as well. Yeah.
So everything from sourcing...
Yeah, so I consider myself a hybrid recruiter. I'm not a sourcer, I'm not a recruiter, but I'm both. And usually
most of the people, I would say,
exactly.
Most of the TA specialists.
Yeah. So and usually that's what my clients are looking for as well. They don't have large recruitment departments, so usually they need help to have someone in to do sourcing, recruitment, and all of that. So it's a mix of things, and that's what I really like. I've always been into sourcing and I've always been into recruiting, and I can't really pick any of the two, so I like doing both. So I really like being involved with end-to-end recruitment, so starting from scratch, doing all of the sourcing to actually hiring the person and then onboarding him. Yeah.
I remember your presentation because I think we met for the first time at HR Hackathon in Berlin. I remember you had a talk about introducing different technologies.
Yes.
And that was the first time I've heard about crystal nose.
Yes, correct.
Which is really interesting, because when I heard about for the first time I was like, this sounds like too science fiction, and now you have people that say we use it on a daily basis. Yeah. So tell me, what are the technologies that inspire you today?
Well, I think I've always been looking for technology that can help us recruiters do our job better, right? And at the moment, I'm mostly interested in voice technology, but that is more like a futuristic topic, I would say. But I'm always exploring different kinds of technology that can help us. And Crystal Nose back then was really one that helped me to really discover how to approach people and how to email them, what tone of voice to use, that sort of things.
Can you more elaborate on maybe even you might on the Crystal Nose? Like, can you tell us or our listeners like how it works? Because actually I had this question from one employee of ours at Good Call. Yeah. Like how it works. Like, can we use it? Like, is it something? Is it just some shallow analysis or?
It basically predicts your personality based upon your social profiles and mostly LinkedIn. The downside of it was, I'm not sure if it still is that it works best on English profiles.
Yes.
So for Czech profiles, it probably will be a bit different.
Yeah.
But that probably will just be a matter of time, right?
And the quality of data, if there is some software engineer working for Sonos, nothing else on this profile?
Then that will be quite difficult. There needs to be some information on it. So when I checked my own profile, there's quite a bit of information on there. So when I sort of pushed my profile through Crystal Nose, it predicted the personality that I felt comfortable with. I recognized myself in that profile.
So it's mostly analysis of the static data of your LinkedIn profile, not the posts.
It's
I think the posts too. No?
Post as well.
Yeah, the post as well. And it also tells you something about the way you communicate. So, and it gives you advice on how you should write your emails to me in order for me to actually read them and respond to them, which is quite interesting as well. So you can have a more formal approach or a more casual approach, and that's what the tool actually predicts. Yeah.
I see.
I think the HR recruitment tech landscape is pretty interesting in Netherlands because there are a lot of Dutch startups. For example, Textkernel, it's another Dutch company. I'm sure you know.
Yes, and actually that was one of the first, I think, really big ones. And it recently got acquired, so it's now part of a bigger company.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's no longer an independent Dutch company. Yeah, they're actually a large one now. So yeah.
There's actually working Jakub.
Jakub,
he's also former Czech or Slovak, but I think he cannot speak Czech properly.
He's actually moved on now to new ventures. So because he's basically sold the company, and
but in general, there is something about Netherlands and Dutch people. They are really like ahead of the curve.
Well, I would say there's a good startup culture in the Netherlands, so that definitely helps. There's always people inventing new ideas, and they're really pushing and promoting that. And obviously, I mean, in Europe, there's quite a bit of competition there. So there's a couple of really good startup markets. So London, Berlin, and we'd like to have a piece of that as well, apparently. So
and isn't it maybe also some like historical context, like that you were always like sales, because smaller country. Under sea level. Don't worry, you can come to Czech Republic. Anything happens.
I can always go there. Well, thank you for that. I can find shelter there. Yeah, that's good.
So I feel, for example, I can give you example. I was like back then doing the certification by LinkedIn, and I was the very first certified in the Central Eastern Europe. So there was one. Yes. That was me. Yeah. Germany 1, France 1, Netherlands, I think 6.
The thing is, I think by nature Dutch people like to explore.
Yeah, be there first, and
we like to explore things, and that's what we've been doing. I mean, that we've been doing that centuries ago, exploring the world and discovering new things, and that's probably part of our DNA. That's how I work as well. I like to explore as well, and it's sort of like continuous learning. That's probably an important.
But talking about Dutch people, I have a question. I remember every time when I go, or not now I know how it is, but before, when I went to Netherlands, for example, I wanted to buy the cheese, the famous cheese in Czech. We call it Gouda because this is how is it written. So I asked them, I want to buy a Gouda, and they was like, what? And they said, you mean Gouda? Gouda. So what is the correct pronunciation? How do you pronounce that?
Gouda.
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 Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we understand Gouda. No worries.
Gouda.
No worries.
Okay. There's a big difference between Gouda, and Gouda.
Yeah.
Gouda. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. That's a different topic. Your topic for Sourcing Summit is voice recruitment?
Voice technology, really.
Voice technology.
So,
tell us more about it.
Well, what we see is that, at least that's what I'm seeing, voice technology is rapidly developing, right? So, and I think there could be a potential there for our profession, for recruitment. And basically that's what I'm going to talk about tomorrow in my presentation. So basically what I will do is to give a sort of a brief overview of what I see is happening in the voice technology landscape, and then afterwards I will give a few examples of how I see those impacting recruitment as a profession.
Can you be more specific? So what do you mean, like voice assistants, like Siri and stuff?
Yeah, basically all of the voice technology is built around speech recognition, right? And understanding language. And one of the, I think, most important occurrences that we've seen last year was Google announcing Google Duplex at the Google I/O event they do every year. And Google Duplex is a technology where you can actually have a Google Assistant or your phone or whatever calling a restaurant to make a reservation for you, or calling a hairdresser to make an appointment for you. And that's typically the kind of technology that I could see supporting recruitment as well, right? A very straightforward example is scheduling appointments with your candidates for your hiring team. I mean, that is a task that takes a lot of time for us to do as humans, and if you have technology being able to do that, that could be a big advantage, right? But apart from
sorry to interrupt you, but do you think that's the best technology for scheduling? Because for me, the best way of scheduling is that when I have a tool such as Calendly or Mixmax, where it pulls like the empty slot from my calendar, sends an email to the person, and he can just click and select the one.
Sure, that could definitely be another way. But this is more like you call a person and then find an appointment. But at the same time, when that technology is calling that person, you could do different things, right? You could actually start doing voice analysis, and if you voice technology analysis already is advanced in a way that you can predict personality based upon voice analysis. So if you combine all that sort of technology, then you could imagine that the AI behind that, or the machine learning technology behind that, at some point will be able to do a lot of the tasks that we are doing.
Are there some examples, some companies? I think there are some, like maybe customer support or something like that they can
what you see
analyze
is that,
your voice.
Exactly. So that this is mainly used in exactly customer support, finance as well. What you actually see is that insurance companies are able to do risk assessments on the analysis of your voice.
So I want to loan money, for example, I'm asking for a loan.
Exactly, you're asking for a loan. They can analyze your voice, and then they can assess the amount of risk they take by giving you that loan. And then based upon the phone call that you have with our customer agent, they can make the decision.
But can you imagine the voice you have after a heavy party in the morning? Like the phone is never call an insurance after a party, because they will analyze your voice and not give you the
Oscar will mention it. You can actually clone your voice.
You can actually clone your
voice.
You
don't need to use your own voice. You can just type it and it will be read by your voice.
Yeah, there's Chinese technology that's easily capable of cloning your voice, and it's maybe not 100% correct at the moment, but it goes very close. I
actually try Library.ai, and you have like 30 sentences or something like that. You need to have some better quality microphone. You need to read it in English. It will create a footprint, like a digital footprint of your voice, and then you just type some text and it's read by your voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
And actually, Yeah, it was. I did it with laptop, so I didn't have this microphone, for example, and so on. So it could be done better.
Yeah, it's quite accurate. It's not 100% accurate, I think, but it is quite accurate. Yeah. But this is just a matter of time, and technology is like rapidly developing.
Yeah.
Like 4 years ago, I think the failure rate on speech recognition was still like 20%. And now it's 5%. So that's only like 4 years ago, right? So it's now only 5%. That's the same failure rate as human beings have with understanding voice and understanding speech.
By the way, you mentioned the Google duplex.
Yes.
I think a lot of people saw the video, like where the Google is calling to hairdresser and to the restaurant. Do you think it was legit? Like, because it was just a video. We saw just or listened to the video.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they have made the technology available now. They first started with making that technology available for Pixel phones in the US, but I think it's widely available now for at least Pixel phone owners. But that will soon be launched globally. And then you can test it for yourself. So, and it obviously will take a bit of time, for that to take off. But the thing is, we are looking for that sort of technology. We are looking for technology that help us to multitask. So things that we can do at the same time. I mean, otherwise I would have to type it in, and now I can just tell my phone, and I can use my hands to do something else, right?
Yeah. So we can so
exactly.
Like, as Matthew mentioned, like where you can send a link by Calendly and so on. But in the promo video, for example, for the Google Duplex, there is a lady going on the street, and she took a mobile phone and said like, "Hey Google, can you
make
set an appointment for 11 or something like that?"
Exactly.
It's connected with her calendar.
Yeah.
And simultaneously, it's working basically. For example, at the hairdresser, you cannot send them Calendly, right?
Yeah, sure.
With candidates, maybe, but maybe also like it's a question how actually the candidates would like to consume these.
Exactly, and I think
it's a message or
I think what is most interesting about this development is that it will make voice and speech accessible to search. I mean, we're doing a podcast now, right? So we're talking about a lot of things. If you can search through that information, through that recorded voice, that will sort of create an entirely new level to the internet that we have, an entire new level of data that you can search through. Because you could search through this podcast. You have 45 minutes of really valuable information where you can.
This one is really valuable.
Exactly. So where you can analyze our voices, where you can analyze the content, you can analyze the words that we use. If I say recruitment enough, then a search engine will understand that this discussion, this conversation is about recruitment, right? It could be potentially having 3 people in there that know something about recruitment. So from a recruitment perspective, that could be interesting as well. That means that I can not only find my candidates through searching the internet, no, I can also find candidates through searching recordings.
Actually, we did some tests at Good Call with Google speech-to-text technology, where there are also big improvement for the past year.
Yes.
The preciseness, and not only for English. That's the perfect thing about it. That even in Czech.
Yes.
So we took, I think 6 people, and we gave them the same text. They read it. They read it like in Czech.
Yes.
And we analyzed what's actually the preciseness of mistakes with the transcription from this podcast, for example.
Yes.
And I think the most successful person was actually with this accent from Ostrava, which is kind of like and I think it was 93%, and that was before the upgrade. The upgrade improved it by 60% even more.
Yes.
Yeah, so for example, we do our own ATS, and we are thinking of putting this into our ATS.
Yeah.
You have a call with a candidate. It's transcribed in the ATS. It's there. The data is there.
Yes.
Of course, super upgrade would be, for example, put there the analysis of the voice. So you don't have only keywords that this guy, for example, talk about Angular or Django or something like that, and it's automatically indexed. But you can have his, for example, analysis of the voice.
And there's already tools out there that do exactly that. Yeah.
Plus, it can recognize if it's, for example, now we are three people here, and it can actually divide the speech into like
three layers
of voice. Yeah, so it's really advanced. Like for the past 1 or 2 years, it got really upgraded.
Yeah. But what about privacy? Because, for example, now when you call a bank, you have the disclaimer like your call will be recorded. There should be also something like your voice would be analyzed. Or
I think the only way to overcome that is to tell the person that you're talking to upfront that you are recording the conversation. Otherwise, you're not allowed to make that recording, right? Regulations are very strict about that. So you have to be open and honest about that upfront. I think we have a lot of privacy concerns for a new technology that's being developed for all good reasons. But what you will see, I think, in the end, that a lot of people will accept that, well, call it privacy risk, because they will find that they will benefit from the technology. It will make their lives easier at some point. So I think that will be the discussion in the end.
What do you? Because I think this is a big topic now when you look at the big conferences of Apple, Facebook, Google. Like privacy is like, I would say, if not number one, then definitely like top 3 topic or something. It's a big thing now. What do you think will be the impact on recruitment and sourcing
of privacy? Yeah, that's a very. I think we're in the middle of discovering what is going to be the impact. I think what happened last year, with GDPR being introduced and enforced. Probably it's a good thing in a way that we have been pushed to really think about our processes and really think about the data that we store of people. So I think that's that's okay, and I think we can still improve on that. So should we be overly concerned about privacy? Yeah, that's another interesting topic. And I think that's heavily debated by the big companies like Facebook, Google, Amazon. They own a lot of data about us. Absolutely. Yesterday I heard that a Dutch financial institution, a Dutch bank, will now be able to read your bank accounts and see the things that you buy, and based upon that they are able to sell your goods or advertisements based upon your shopping behavior, for example, which is
it's for your own good.
It's for your good. Yeah, but you could ask if you want the bank to be able to view that data, right, and not just the numbers, but actually view the data of the stuff that you buy.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of people. It's like with mobile phones and with anything. Like people will tell you, like mobile phones, we will never use it. Like with chatbots, no, we will never talk to robots. And suddenly, because you feel it's comfortable, you do that, and in general, people don't think that this data is owned by Facebook, this here and there.
The thing is with mobile phones are actually a good example. But if you're looking to your settings, if you have an Android phone and you go to your history settings, you will actually see that Google once in a while records your voice. It's in there. It's in your activity settings. So and it's not really recognizable speech unless you've really actually used a voice app and said something, then it is recorded as well. But once in a while, it just records sound.
But I think it's this is also the way how they, for example, implemented this speech-to-text technology, because they need a lot of data in different languages.
Sure.
So they need, for example, from the Czech Republic, the big chunk of people.
Otherwise, you cannot develop products like this, right? That's probably how they do it.
The big data, literally.
Yeah, and you probably would be surprised at what they record. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, Amazon patented technology that is able to record everything you say already in Alexa, for example, before you say the wake word. because now if you want to use Alexa, you say, "Hey Alexa," and then it starts recognizing your speech and recording it. They've patented technology now that they can actually already record before you say the wake word, and if you say the wake word after the sentence, then they go back to that recording and then they analyze what you have said, which means that they at some point already start recording
everything basically in advance.
Exactly. So
for the sake of that you say,
and that obviously for a lot of people will be a privacy concern.
For sure. Yeah. By the way, speaking of which, we are speaking voice technology. We will get back to this. But for example, there is also face recognition technology, which now you can also. There was some test by someone, and he just. It depends where we get it, but he probably scraped LinkedIn, the photos from LinkedIn, and he was comparing that to some, not pictures, but there was at the door, there was some camera or something like that, and he was comparing, for example, employees. Imagine your employees coming to work, and they enter the work, and they enter the door, and immediately they can see their, for example, LinkedIn picture on some LCD panel there.
Yeah. So face technology already has developed in a way that it is far more accurate than human beings can recognize your face. So if we have met,
really,
it's close to 100% accurate at the moment. Yeah, and I think the only reason why we are not seeing that and we cannot use that as consumers is for privacy reasons. But this technology already is heavily applied for security reasons at airports.
In China.
In China
is like a huge airport.
It's a different game.
China is it's a bit of a different game. Yeah, they don't care about privacy at all there. Yeah. But that technology is far ahead of us. But we just don't see that in commercial products for us at the moment.
I think there are some libraries as a developer you can download, you can use it. It depends, like if it's this one, like if it's that sophisticated. But I think this guy doing this test, I think he released that as some on GitHub that you can download this library and you can implement it.
Yeah, but I think more commercial products will at first be afraid for privacy concerns and will not probably take the risk to launch anything at the moment. So and they will probably wait. We've already seen that the European Union has taken regulations against Facebook a couple of years ago to use facial recognition technology in Facebook. And Facebook keeps on trying to use that sort of technology, but it has a lot of concerns. Yeah.
All right.
But I can imagine some good applications of that. For example, when you come to work, so instead of this is my problem, I can never find my the plastic entrance card. So if instead of that you just come, it recognizes your face, unlocks the door. That's okay for me.
Yeah.
But if it is something different, like searching internet, all photos you can find on Facebook, comparing with your profile photo on LinkedIn or stuff, that's a different story.
Yeah, I've been sort of testing that sort of technology a couple of years ago when it was still possible to actually use facial recognition technology online, and when Google was supporting that, and when some of the other apps were supporting that, and it's for recruiters, it's great to profile candidates, right? You have a profile picture of someone on LinkedIn, and you can use that same picture to find all their other social accounts and then build a profile of that candidate. So you can't do that anymore.
But on Google you still have the option like search image or something. So it's intentionally inaccurate, or
it is intentionally inaccurate. They made it difficult now to find people, persons. You can still find people if I upload a picture of, for example, Angela Merkel. Then it will tell me, the technology will tell me this is a public person, this is Angela Merkel, we recognize her, and this is the data. But once I upload your picture, it probably will not give your name. It will potentially give other sites where that picture of you is showing.
Okay, I'm just wondering, what's this music like? whether this can be heard in the recording later on. So, dear listeners, if you hear some sort of music, this is because in our lounge, in the VIP
we are
lounge,
in the champagne lounge.
There is background music. So
what you can expect?
Not champagne, but beer. So that's fine as well.
All right, so back to the voice technology. So we mentioned something like the voice assistant. So that you speak, it can understand, for example, like Siri, like Alexa, and so on. Transcription from voice to text, which, by the way, as you Matěj mentioned about the legal aspects of that. That's why, for example, with our ATS, we decided now that we are testing that imagine you have a call. Yes. You finish the call, and then the recruiter takes the mobile phone and he will say like, so this candidate was doing this and that, his experience is in this, and this is transcribed. So it's instead of filling some fields and so on.
It's not the voice of the candidate that
it's not the voice of the candidate, but it's just because of the legal barrier. But I think when you say like this telephone call will be recorded, it's not a problem, as well as you have a call with a bank and you just record it.
Well, interestingly enough, what you see nowadays is that there's we feared when companies started to develop chatbots that people were not open to have a conversation with a chatbot, about a new role, a new job, or whatsoever in recruitment. But apparently the opposite is true. People tend to reveal more information to a chatbot because it's not a human being. They consider that to be a robot, right? And they openly talk about their salaries and they openly talk about their experience. If they do that to a chatbot, I think we can safely assume that if they have that similar conversation with a voice-enabled chatbot, where the conversation will probably be far more human, that they will be able, to reveal that information as well. So you have a much more of a natural flow in that conversation, I think, and then that could be an interesting development for recruitment.
Yeah. So what else? What are other angles where you use voice technology?
Yeah, a really other interesting angle I would say is that the app that transcribes your voice, right? Originally was developed to help deaf people to transcribe their conversation, to transcribe the conversation, and to get other conversation transcribed so that they could be involved in that conversation. So this technology is actually helping deaf people to apply for a job and have a job interview, which is from an inclusion point of view quite interesting. So voice technology is actually opening up the market, the recruitment market for deaf people or people with a speech disability, which is interesting as well.
Yeah.
So because a deaf person could be a fabulous developer, right? But that person would be really horrible in a job interview. And now you can, take all of that away and have a normal job interview with that person, and he proves to be a great developer.
So it's a text to voice, voice to text, basically, vice versa.
Yeah.
Can you imagine something like real-time translation of voice?
It exists. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, it already was launched in 2014 by a company that was born here in Estonia, Skype. They launched Skype Translator, and they did a live transcription of the speech. So basically, you had one person talking, for example, Estonian, speaking with another person in Spanish, and they were having that conversation in their own language, and it was live transcribed by Skype. And that product still exists. It would be great for recruitment, and no recruiter is using it.
And can people use it?
Really? You're kidding me? I never heard of this.
Yeah, it's called Skype Translator. You can launch it.
Yeah.
So I can have a Skype talk with an Estonian.
You can do it in Estonian, and I can do it in Dutch.
Yeah.
We have that conversation, and it's live transcribed.
So when I would say Gouda, it will say Gouda.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I will get your cheese.
If you have some listeners who cannot speak English, they can put the podcast on one side of the Skype, and on the other side of the Skype you have it in Czech.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that is definitely one of the most exciting developments that we've seen, and for some reason it has never taken off.
I saw, I think there were some display ads on Facebook for some device like this. I don't know if actually it was online. It looked like it's offline. Some device like it's you need to update it like in the old times you updated your navigation, for example, new maps and so on. So probably the whole dictionary and so on was in it, and you had such a like ear headset or whatever, and you could do that.
It's very powerful technology, and actually by that time I think already Skype was bought by Microsoft. So I think it's Microsoft transcription technology that's in there, and it works really well. I demoed that actually tomorrow in my presentation,
really?
So you can see it. Yeah.
But this is really interesting from recruitment point of view because, for example, we request everyone to speak English at our company.
Absolutely, and you probably perform better in your own language, right?
I can imagine like that you can open like the talent pool for people that don't speak the language you need. Yeah. Especially, for example, the firm that work remotely. Then like it's okay if you like speak just your own language, but everything, all the communication can be translated via these tools.
So we had actually one of the startup companies in the Netherlands, and unfortunately they haven't continued to launch this product, but they were developing a product that was called Hope, and that product actually was specifically built for foreign people that live in the Netherlands, so expats or wives or partners of expats, I should say, but also refugees in the Netherlands, looking for jobs in the Netherlands, and they didn't speak Dutch, so for them to access those Dutch vacancies, that was quite difficult. But this application was reading the translated Dutch version of that vacancy for them, and so they could apply, so they could understand what the vacancy was about, and they could actually apply, which is another angle I think that voice technology potentially could help recruiters to do their job better, right?
That's interesting.
About the analysis of the like by the voice of the person's whatever, not character but
personality,
like the personality. Are there some tools which we can use right now? We can download maybe some trial version or paid software.
Well, there is a company in the UK that is launching right as we speak a product. I don't think you can download it because you have to pay for the product. They're called Recchio. It is an application that analyzes your voice, and I think they work through video interviews, and then they analyze your voice, and based upon that they predict your personality. So that's one of the tools you can use. I think Higher View, the Dutch video recruitment company, is actually using some sort of voice technology in their product. I think it's less advanced. It's more about emotions that they predict, not really personality. So, but again, that's not a product you can download. That's a product you have to buy. So,
I think there are some other applications which you mentioned, like it's video. It's not only audio. It's also video, and it can analyze your facial expression, for example.
Yeah. So that is tools I've been testing with. Those are micro-analysis tools. So basically, they analyze your micro-expressions in your face. So the expressions you involuntarily have if you speak, and
so-called Paul Ekman.
Yeah, exactly. And the interesting thing is that we, as humans, read those emotions and expressions as well, right? And we put a label to that without knowing that actually. But this technology is able to do that as well, and I've done some of their tests, and they provided me with a personality overview of myself after like a 3-minute interview or something like that. It was even less, I think, and it was pretty accurate, I would say. Yeah, based just upon your facial expressions. So if you combine all that information, the facial expressions, the voice analysis. I think at some point technology will be able to better predict your personality than any recruiter or even yourself. So, and I think that is an interesting development. I'm not sure I'm happy about that development, but I think it's an interesting way that we're going. Yeah. And especially now that we see that AI and machine learning are really taking off as well. So machines will be able to become better and better and better at doing that.
Definitely. I think recruiters, we mentioned here some tools here and there, but of course big players on the market with ATSs and so on will actually implement these most likely into Taleo, for example, will implement this technology in the ATS, and recruiters will use it like automatically as well as they started to use mobile phone and so on.
You can wait for the likes of Facebook and LinkedIn to start developing this as well. Google has a lot of knowledge on your facial expressions, on your voice. They have a recruitment product, right? So one-on-one is two. I mean, it's going there. There's no doubt. It's going there.
Future is bright.
Yeah.
I hope so. Okay, I think we are coming to an end. So maybe, Oscar, if you can tell us, what are your plans for this year? More conferences? Some that either you attend as an attendee or as a speaker?
Yeah. So one of the things I really like to do, and I think that is some advice that I would like to give to other recruits. And I'm sure lots of them are doing it, but I know there's lots of them that are not doing it. Please also go to conferences that are not about recruitment.
Oh yeah.
Because you can learn so much from. I go to product management conferences, for example. I learn loads of that. I go to the really big conferences like Web Summits, where I see all sorts of new technology. Where I start to think, how could I potentially apply that to my profession?
Yeah.
And I think that is definitely something that we should do more in our
Absolutely.
profession. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Finally, I have one gift for you. It's actually a little bit related to our topic today because it's recruitment engineering.
Excellent.
Toolkit. So
I love it.
It's talent sourcing training, 20 hours, but it's video sourcing toolkit edition. So it's full of there are some tripods, color microphone, and so on, some lights and so on. Which actually, my point first was to provide online training as a tangible product. People like books and so on.
Yeah.
People.
What's inside? Like they are like DVDs or?
No, actually, it's
secret stuff.
There's the access to the online course. So the point is that it's still up to date. With the book, when you write a sourcing book, it's a problem that tomorrow it will not be up to date. This is still up to date. Plus, you can touch it. You can give it as a gift to someone and so on. And there is the video sourcing toolkit edition. So it's full of these gadgets which should, we heard it today, like a lot of tools and so on. You need to be tech savvy, you need to be marketing savvy and so on, and that should be enhance these skills by this product.
Cool.
This is for you.
I've heard loads of this, magical package. So I'm looking forward to opening it.
But when you open it, it's just like URL, but it has like.
It feels quite heavy for a URL.
And a brick.
Cool. Okay, Oscar, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
It was very interesting.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Perfect. Takže pro naše diváky tohle byl díl s Oscarem Magerem z Holandska. Vidíte, že Holandsko je velmi vepředu. Bavili jsme se o technologiích na základě voice a video technologií.
Super, tak jo, čeká nás, hnedka zítra natočíme další díl, ale pak to pustíme jako i později, kde shrneme všechno ze Sourcing Summitu. Takže se rozloučíme jak holandsky. How do you say goodbye in Dutch?
Tot ziens.
Tot ziens.
Tot ziens.
Tot ziens?
Tot de volgende keer.
Okay. Tak jo, díky, mějte se, čau.
Mějte se, čau, zdravíme ze Sourcing Summitu Tallinn.